Hello and welcome to today's webinar, Taking Adobe Experience Manager to the Next Level for Johns Manville. I'm Charmin Guillot, Vice President of Marketing at 3Share, and I'll be the moderator for today's event. We're going to record this event and we will send it along with a copy of the deck to everyone who has registered. And as time allows, we will answer questions you may have submitted upon registration or any that you submit into the questions tab of the GoToWebinar platform. And now I would like to introduce our presenters today. We have Marco Lara from 3Share. Hey, Marco.
Hey, how you doing? Glad to be here.
Oh, great. Thanks for joining. And we also have Angie Baca-DeGary from Johns Manville. Thanks for joining, Angie.
Thanks, Charmin.
I'd also like to take this time to recognize the teams who worked collaboratively on this project from both Johns Manville and 3Share. A big thanks to all these folks. We couldn't have done it without you. And so, Angie, can you tell us a little bit about Johns Manville and this project?
Yeah. So Johns Manville is a manufacturing company that has been in business for 160 years. So this year is actually, we're celebrating our 160 years anniversary. We provide products for building insulation, mechanical insulation, commercial roofing and roof insulation, and manufacture products in the areas of fibers and nonwovens for commercial, industrial, and residential applications. For JM.com, we need to have a seamless experience between these 5 very different business units. So the JM.com user can range from the average homeowner doing a project on the weekend to a product engineer looking to build the next wind turbine or paneling for a new car. In between those personas, we have advanced frequent users like contractors and distributors who know what they're looking for and want it quickly. So how it all started is we've had a great ongoing relationship with 3Share since launching the site in 2014. We've utilized their ROM remote operations management services with the site, and it's just great to know that they're watching out for the site 24/7. We've also engaged with them on our SmartBinder API. That's an app for our frequent use data sheets for business unit users. And then we moved into just recently, of course, our upgrade assessment. And that really, that work helped tremendously engaging the scope of what we're taking on with this upgrade project that we're going to talk about today. Our leadership and business partners needed to see all those details of the work so we can allocate the right spend and resources and timing of this project. We just wouldn't have been able to grasp it without that assessment. And then, of course, our upgrade project, we had a lot to do on the site. We were running the site on AEM 5.6 and had not improved the site since 2014 when it first launched. So as we'll discuss, we had some hurdles to overcome to get our site to 6.3 and improve the customer experience while doing so. Now, after doing the upgrade, we are now moving on to, upgrading our corporate pages. We're going to be launching new microsites, and then integrating with some of our other applications like our, finding a retail and distributor for some of our products in our product pages. All right, now I'm going to hand it off to Marco, who's going to review the audit process.
Thank you, Angie. So if you have worked with any CMS systems, you pretty much will soon find out that the content delivery drives your component and template development. So there's really a lot more to upgrades than just a simple version of bumping the version numbers. You have to also consider upgrading your content. So upgrades provide the perfect opportunity for any company, in this case Johns Manville, to conduct a content audit and revise the message that they really want to present to their users. The content strategy was a significant deciding factor when identifying the components that needed to be decommissioned. So we reviewed the structure of the product content, we set priorities based on content usage and migration level of effort, and we work with you, Angie, to really understand the current and future state of the content to provide the best execution plan and recommendations. So Angie, our team really worked well together. We created the content architecture. We reviewed all the components. We produced experience optimization recommendations. So overall, I believe that our team was able to put together a plan that met the business requirements, and it was in scope and also within targeted budget. We had our challenges, but we were able to really make it work. So Angie, can you please tell us on how that experience was on your end for you, team?
Yeah, I mean, really, getting the content architecture and really looking at what we wanted to accomplish with this upgrade was just a really, huge undertaking. We actually started on our side 6 months before we even started engaging 3Share. And I worked with all the business units and, did some design thinking workshops and developed the personas and our journeys and really tried to go and hone in on the content that we actually needed. And then when we looked at that, the component and the pages, all the components and pages that we had going on, that took a lot of meetings on our side to go and do a full audit of what we actually needed. It was like cleaning out your garage of all the old sports equipment. We had to get a thorough understanding of the older site state and all that was in it. And it was not an easy process since, like I mentioned before, JM did not do much in site maintenance and code cleanup since 2014.
Great. So now we got into the upgrade. We made a significant jump in AM versions, as Angie mentioned. We went from 5.6.1 to 6.3 Service Pack 1. And I'm very proud of the development team for executing this successful upgrade in such a very short time. An upgrade of this magnitude really requires a lot of refactoring. The challenge with this project on 5.6.1 was that it was not playing really nice with the new version of AM. We took on an enormous refactoring journey through upgrading the JDK to Java 8. We introduced the Uberjar 6.3.0, which is provided by Adobe, and also upgraded the Maven project just to build and deploy to AM. Now the question was, how do we execute on this upgrade with a team of developers without really stepping on each other's toes? So one of the things that we wanted to really provide is, or to kind of set some tone is, all the developers really needed to have the same tool set. So the same IDE, the same local versions of AEM as a targeted platform. And also Adobe provides something called an AEM development tools that is also available for Eclipse. So we needed all the developers to really use the same tool set. And the whole thing about it is that once you have all the developers talking the same language, then you can have some very interesting conversations about solutions. And not only that, but troubleshooting is a lot faster and efficient when everybody's kind of working on the same tool set. So another thing that is very important as part of the upgrades is basically the migration of classic dialogues to Touch UI. Now, Adobe does recommend using one of their tools for the migration of these dialogues, which it does a very good job. But it is impossible for the Adobe engineers to really foresee all the scenarios that the implementers will code just to serve the business requirements. So anyone out there that has a task to actually do a migration, please, you have to expect some manual labor on your hands. So we highly recommend that anyone that is migrating a classic dialogues to Touch UI to really understand the content requirements for data collection and display, work with the product owners to review the dialogues and the requirements and really determine if the dialogues are actually outdated or they needed to change. Now, our responsibility as architects and developers is to provide a natural authoring experience for content contributors. That's something that we really did great with this project, and Angie can actually speak on how those improvements really help collecting the data for authors.
Yeah, thank you. So moving to the new Touch UI dialogues was a positive experience for authors. Working in CQ5 in the older AEM version was not an intuitive type of experience for our infrequent authors that we had on the site. And that sidekick shown on the left got in everyone's way. It just kind of kept popping up everywhere as they're trying to add content in there. Due to that poor experience, the content got stale very quickly. With the new dialogues and experience in authoring, training was easier on us and the authors. As a team, we took a few more steps to make the dialogues easier to use that made sense to the area we were working with, like better help text, putting image sizes in those dialogue boxes so they knew what size to load up, and just field labeling that just really went a long way, and it still is, just so impactful. In the new templates, the dialogues have a consistent user pattern, which we coupled with a more locked down page template, so authors knew what components to use and where. This was really important since our authors wanted to spend less time figuring out AEM and where to put things and more time with their actual content. Marco is now going to review the refinement process. Marco?
Yep, thank you. So we also added a few features to the site outside of the upgrade, and later on, Angie, I think you will show some of those, how those features really contributed to the improvement of John Manville's user experience. So I'll touch a little bit on the re-architecture of the product content. As I mentioned before, we took the opportunity to really revise the content and improve on the delivering these content in, or delivering the message in the right context. So the challenge was really keeping all the content data in a single place, but used in different places of the site. Adobe provides a couple of options to handle this, content fragments and content experiences. We ended up really choosing experience fragments as it provides the support for really complex data collection structures. And not only that, but it applies a presentation layer that is really share anywhere where the fragment is being used on the site. So the experience fragments really provided us with the desired author experience, since the authors already kind of had a way of working with pages. Experience fragments kind of replicate or mimic that same experience when editing the content, and also provides the opportunity for further usability on other channels as well. Some other enhancements that we did on the site were on the search, the site search. We added a search bar component that allowed type ahead predictions as users were actually typing on the keywords. We're using RESTful APIs to actually read the tags that were created to display on the type ahead as recommendations, and also the authors can configure the filtered words such as like pronouns and conjunctions, et cetera, et cetera. So another thing that we made an improvement on is basically how the results were presented. So we're indexing the experience fragments properties as well. So anytime somebody would search for a specific keyword, we're also looking into the fragments properties. We're indexing the YouTube videos that are added by authors inside the experience fragments, and we also added the links to product landing pages. And then to support the mobile devices, we improved on the pagination of the results by really adding a load more button at the end of the results. So Angie, you want to share how those improvements really impacted the content delivery on the search results?
Yeah, so from what Marco built out and for what we were needing, the experience comes to be more like a typical browser or Google search experience, where the user is offered some possible matches of what the site can bring back as they're typing in the query. We wanted to make the search as intuitive as possible and try to offer as close as the match as possible to what we actually had on the site. The example shown here shows the experience of what a user would experience looking for information regarding our TPO pipe boots. You can see that the suggestion there before the query finished being entered by the user, they select pipe boots, that suggestion, and then are given a results page right away when they select it that can go to that further drill down. Now this is where it gets kind of cool, that the user can choose to then go to a product page for that pipe boot, where all that information resides, or they can go from that drop-down menu, view only the documents from our SDS library that we'll talk about a little bit later in the presentation, or go and select videos to watch a video installation on how to actually install that particular product. So in doing this application and making this improvement to our search, we covered at least 3 use cases for our contractor persona, which is really huge. I mean, this was a great improvement in our user experience. All right, so I'm going to kick it back to Marco.
Thank you. Very cool stuff. Very cool stuff. So another enhancement that we did on the site was basically using or integrating with Maxmind database. So delivering the right content to the right audience based on the region that they were actually browsing from was an essential requirement for this project. So we needed the ability to find an anonymous user's region using nothing but the IP. So we integrated with Maxmind, which is an industry leader in IP geolocation accuracy. We import the database on a monthly basis. We basically check against that database whenever we capture an IP from a user. We get the geolocation information, and then we deliver the personalized content configured to that region. Now I'm going to go into really best practices. These are not really enhancements or new features. These are just basically best practices that we applied moving on forward with development. So the old project did not really have any structure when it came to web assets. The JavaScript files were embedded in HTML. There was only one CSS file managing all the styles on the site. Overall, it was quite challenging working on this ecosystem. So we promoted the use of LESS, which really stands for Linear Style Sheets, and which is a backward-compatible language extension of for CSS. LESS is really out of the box in AEM 6.3. There's really no additional configuration needed, and we were just able to use it. We also made a smart use of the client libraries by separating them by templates and components. That really allowed us to make a better use of the categories, also to control where and when the client lists were actually included on a page. We also re-architected the front-end component development. We took advantage of an AEM feature called the JavaScript Use API. These allows the page to expand the server-side functionality and services to really JavaScript files that are included, and on the pages that basically execute at runtime. This is very useful when you want to call, let's say, for instance, a service method within a bundle, and you don't want to actually create a Sling model. You can just create a JavaScript use file and then just basically execute it there. Another thing that kind of improvement that we did is, as I mentioned before, all the JavaScript files or all the code was embedded in HTML. This is really not an ideal practice, especially when you have several developers working on the same code. It does not scale. It's really hard to maintain, and it is very difficult to debug. So we adopted the jQuery plugin pattern, which allows the decoupling of HTML and JavaScript to separate files. What some of the advantages, or for this pattern is portability and reusability. So basically, what this means is you could have 2 separate presentation layers, which is HTML, but use the same JavaScript that basically has all your business logic in there. This is not really an enhancement either. This is also another best practice. But admin interfaces are a perfect place to expand on Adobe AEM's functionality that is available to administrators. So if you want to think of it, you have custom dialogues that are for authors, where they can actually author content. Well, you can also customize the admin interface for administrators that are administering the site. So we created a couple of reports that were exposed to administrators, where they could go in there and look at the reports and download. So it's just another way that you can also improve the usability, not just for the authors, but also for the administrators who are managing the site. Great. Now, 3Share offers managed services to all of our clients. Our remote operations management team, ROM for short, they work really, really hard. Pretty much they work 24/7 providing support for web stacks, migrations to AWS, development, general troubleshooting, ongoing maintenance, you name it. These guys are pretty much an extension of pretty much now John Mansfield's team. So these are the guys that you really want to have right next to you when, if you want to keep your system really healthy and stable. So one of the things, and these guys really take security very seriously, so they enable something called an Apache Mod Security Module, which is basically a web application firewall, WAF for short, or for the acronym. All it is basically a module that protects the web servers from any sort of attack. It also provides real-time application security monitoring and access, and it does not require any application source code changes. So it sits right in front of the application servers, and it handles all the security for you. The ROM team also enable another excellent module called the Google PageSpeed. This module basically takes all of the CSS or JavaScript files, combines them into a smaller number of files to be downloaded on a page, consequently reducing the number of requests a browser needs to send to a server. This dramatically increases the speed of the website, and especially nowadays with everybody carrying their smartphones in their pockets, browsing the internet is not what they used to be, a decade ago. The attention span for mobile devices or browsing on mobile devices is pretty short, so everybody wants their content really fast. So this really helped improve the delivery of the message that John Mansfield wanted to send to their customers faster. Great. Here at 3Share, we knew how important it was for our team to really provide the right knowledge and the tools to John Mansfield's development team after the end of our engagement with this project. So we take pride in the fact that both of our teams really successfully transferred the project and keeping the business continuity without really compromising the launch of the site. So Angie, do you want to expand on your experience during this transition period?
Yeah, like I had mentioned earlier, not much was done on the site since 2014 when we initially launched. Our dev team had a huge backlog in other development work, yet in the last few years, we started to go and see this large demand for updates to the site from the business units, which was great. There was way more demand than resources in IT to handle the work. So looking at this upgrade, we saw that as a great opportunity to train up and change our operating model going forward in supporting the site. And, one of those things was training our developers on it. We wanted our developers to get as much as they could from this experience, since we just had the whole 3Share team working with us, and we needed to be able to have them go and get that mentorship and just learn from them as much as they could for this enormous project. So while we did take the time for classroom instruction during the project, and that was really, really important, the value came in working on a task that was just a better way for our newer developers to learn and give that real world application. We gave one of our developers who was just trained, the minute the training got done, a core template to work right out of the gate. And he nailed it, did a wonderful job, and really just was able to go and get up to speed on something that was highly valuable for the project, as we'll go and see. Our team, the whole team, we utilized Hangouts exclusively for real-time collaboration, using private chats to have those real-time conversations as questions came up. It was seamless communication between our developers in Denver, since we're in Denver, and 3Share, who were in the East Coast, the West Coast, and Central US. As we're closing up the project, this was also really important. We made sure to allow time for the creation of development training guides by 3Share, and the time to review each portion with the whole development team. This was really, really important, since during the development sprints, there wasn't time to go and ask one of the 3Share developers, hey, Marco, how did you build out the search? Or, hey, that's cool, how did you make that filter work? And so this really gave the time to reflect back outside of those dev sprints, and stop and ask questions and really, get to the meat of the hows on those more complex items. So we've made a lot of progress during this upgrade. And another learning that we've encountered on the old site from the authors was that there were just too many templates, which caused issues with them trying to remember when to use and what. What drove the design was reusing consistent product information in multiple pages. Like Marco mentioned earlier, our use of experience fragments for our product information, that we really wanted to stay consistent. Now we could have pages that spoke to certain uses or materials and cut the amount of maintenance of content for the authors while making the core product content consistent across their areas. We went from 8 product type templates to 1 in this upgrade, which was phenomenal, really, to have that much, stuff to cut out. We also scaled our large list of customized components that really, there were just a lot of promo components and weird list ones and text ones to just 3 regularly used authoring functions. That they didn't have to guess. It was very straightforward when they were going in and maintaining their content. The one template that we built was built to be more dynamic, to be used in 1 to 3 uses. It could be used as an initial landing page, a product list results page, and a single product page. This helped the authors know where and how to enter in content, and with us with training and upkeep. So by making this change, we've elevated our user experience on the site that was immediately noticed and appreciated even by the authors, which is huge, since we have about 20 different opinions regarding jm.com. One author said to me after the launch how clean the site looked and how it looked like 1 or 2 people entered in content versus the 15 plus authors we really had in all the areas of the site. By making it easier on the author, we had a tremendous impact on the end user experience with overall site consistency. It was a win-win for us. So what that meant was, we put all of our main call to action buttons in all the same places in all the areas. We put all the tools and all the tool buttons in all the areas where they can access the highly frequently used tools that they need. And then resources were always in the same place. The left-hand navigation gave both authors and users a consistent area of how to drill down with products and how to get to other heavily used resource pages that may be on other sites or in other areas of the site. Our content started to have places to live and easier access for users like homeowners looking to search by products or projects, like insulating an attic, baby room, or a bathroom. So it wasn't just about the product, but the use. So this major improvement that also went into our search results that we accomplished was we implemented with getting access to our MSDS or SDS library. So we have this database that houses all of our MSDS's documentation, and that is core to our business. We just cannot operate without it. And users who wanted to go and search our database for these important sheets on the old site, they were given a tiny link in the footer and then taken to the old SAP site, which was a pretty clunky experience. So what we did is we just wanted one search on the site, just one search to really go and cover everything. And so we took that SAP metadata from their search from that SAP database. We built an API, and then we applied it to all the search queries that Marco worked on before. So then when users selected that safety data sheets dropdown in that sort, they would get those already drilled down results without doing a separate search. So that was huge because we were already going and getting those results for them, applying that sort and letting them know exactly. If you look at this screenshot here, you can see that type of metadata that I was talking about that we were pulling in. So trade name is up there, of course, business unit. We also have that safety data sheet, SDS ID, which was really important for those frequent users that I talked about who just wanted to enter in that ID. Well, now they'll be able to go and get it just straight from our site search. So this was a tremendous improvement for our users just to have this available on the site, integrated with our site. The implementation of filters throughout the product areas changed how we interacted with the customer and how we do business on the site. We now allow users to drill down to products and content using their terms and less with our technical terms and attributes that were being lost on most of the users. Now, this is an example of our building insulation filter. This allows users to drill down by our product properties instead of just fiberglass. This is what we kind of had before on the old site. To a customer finding a product that had certain properties like thermal control and sound control made their product search easier and more about them and less about us. In our roofing area, we use the filter as a buying guide. It recommends the product based on what the user selects. This has had a tremendous impact in this business, and we see very high traffic with the filter for the roofing pages. 7% of all of our trackable events on jam.com are roofing filter engagements. 92% of all site filter interactions are in our popular roofing area. This is tremendous for us. The roofing landing page went from an average of 300 to 400 page views a day to an averaging 500 page views a day since we launched the new site. So we also launched a new YouTube player. Now, YouTube is such a powerful social engagement tool for our industry, especially. It just made sense to have it as our primary video player. We needed to show the product in action, how to install, what it does, where to use it. Really, we wanted to get the customer closer to our products, and integration with a YouTube player just made sense with that. JM has a big library of video content that is in high demand of our users, and we needed to make it more accessible with our other product content as they were visiting our site. So, for example, our building insulation group, they have 92 videos hosted on YouTube. Since launching the site, 55% of those views now come from jam.com. We've had a 29% increase in views of those videos since launching, and we drive 77% of all the building installation YouTube traffic from jam.com. This is great for us because as a business, we feel so confident in our products that we want users to talk about us and compare us, especially in that social area. So here it is, our final product template in action that I talked about earlier. And earlier, I talked a lot about the building insulation group. I talked about the roofing group, and these are two very popular areas of the site. But when I show the new site, I like to show this non-wovens business unit. This business unit produces manufactured products that go into other products. Usually not a very interesting part of our business. The traffic in this area is typically very low with what we see. But what we see in this new page is a fresh approach to delight users. Every time I show this page with the Chihuahua there, there's always this like, this from the audience, this emotional response that is not usually known for our non-wovens group. They took this a playful approach and just revamped their content with the new experience updates that I just went through, and just really decided to go and provide this new different user experience for their end users, and it shows, and they get reactions all the time, and it is just such day and night with what they had. Prior to launch, the non-wovens landing page received an average about 20 page views a day. Since launching the site, we're seeing an average increase considerably to at least 40, 50. 50 is pretty good. Sometimes it gets a little bit higher than that. And if you saw our old site, you would know that this is great progress. It is literally day and night. So I'm very happy with the end product, very happy with the site. And I want to say thanks again to the 3Share team, and of course our JM team who made it all happen and made it all possible. So thank you. So Sharman, I think it's back to you.
Yeah, thanks you guys, Angie and Marco, so much for all of that wonderful content. We do have a few questions from our attendees, and I'd like to read those now. So we have one from Paul, and this question is, what type of process do you recommend to help train internal developers? What's been the most successful? So I think, Marco, can I throw this one over to you?
Yeah, absolutely. We did provide mentoring and training to the JM developers. And one thing that really worked very well for us was motivation and patience from our side. Well, motivation, giving motivation to the developers, and also providing a little bit of patience, obviously, because they were getting fresh into the AM environment. Also, small groups and hands-on training work really, really great. And we provided some sample code as well that they were able to also explore outside of our sessions. So that really, really worked well.
Great. Okay. We have one from Chris as well. And Chris's question is, what is the best practice to make upgrades or changes to taxonomy go more smoothly? Angie, can you address that one?
Yeah, so we looked back at our site analytics and you use that data to drive how you're going to change your taxonomy. We also, I met a lot with the business units. I reviewed personas. We did journey mapping that all went into what that was going to be and where we needed to make changes. We decided to go and just have homeowner be its own area, and that was different than what it was before, even though the products were the same. They were just marketed differently. Just don't be afraid of change and to try new things. We just, we audited all the pages and the tags and, looked at where we were being too general, and we decided to become more specific. And so far, it's been smooth.
Okay, we have another one here from Sydney. And this is regarding refactoring for latest UI patterns. Have you created specific workspaces for user types to improve the experience? Angie?
Yeah, like I was saying about our homeowner area, that's truly an area that, does have to be different from the rest of the area. It needs to speak more to the homeowner experience and comparing and about projects. So we have updated those areas for that user type. We're also going to be launching microsites to really get into more of that industry news, the meat of what goes into how to use the products. It's really important in our industry. We also have marketing templates that do speak to our architects and specifiers persona that I didn't talk about before, but that's just content that it just gets driven to them. And so that is a different UI pattern and page template that we've been offering up.
Great. Okay, so I would like to extend everybody an offer who's here on the webinar with us, and this is for Evolve, which is the Adobe Digital Marketing Community. It's in its 5th year, and it's in San Diego. It will take place August 15th through the 17th. It's a fantastic opportunity for the latest Experience Cloud use cases and peer networking. I encourage you to go to the website and check it out, and if you can attend this year, you get 20% off your registration fee. So we truly hope to see you there at Evolve. And before we go, I'd like to share a little bit about 3Share. We are a Digitas company, part of Publicis Media. We're 100% focused on Adobe Experience Cloud, specializing in delivering velocity-focused services for Adobe Experience Manager and Campaign. If you need help in those areas, please get in touch with us. We are a fun group of folks, and we're happy to help you out in any way we can. With that, I'd like to thank everyone who attended, and Marco, Angie, the rest of the team who made this possible. Have a great rest of your day, everyone, and talk soon. Thanks.